Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, I have just realised that we are nearly into November. It's the 30th of October as I'm recording this, and I haven't done this month's update on the Bonkers Quilt progress. So I'm delighted to report that pretty much all of the pieces are now on. And most of the little gaps are filled. Thank you so much to everyone who's sent in pieces and also all the little wonky shapes and things to help me fill the gaps. I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of how it's coming together. What an amazing job we've all done. What a thing of beauty this quilt is going to be, with all the work and all the love that's gone into it. It can't help but be. So if you're watching this and you've no idea what I'm talking about, I will link to the playlist below so you can catch up. But basically the Bonkers Quilt is a community project which came about when I was mulling over ideas for projects to do at our slow stitching corner, which was very kindly hosted by the lovely Jo and her team at the Bazaar summer event last year at the Sussex Prairie Gardens. Not last year, this summer just gone, August. They set up a beautiful little tent for us and piled a table full of gorgeous bazaar scraps that we all love, and lots of people came along and created little pieces to go on the quilt. And for people that weren't able to come and join us in person, I invited them to send a piece to me and so that I could stitch it onto the quilt for them. Around 100 people all over the world have sent in pieces for the quilt. I was just blown away by it. What an amazing time I had opening all the little packages. It's fabulous. And then lots of people also sent in little wonky shapes and things to help me fill all the little spaces that were left once I placed all the pieces, because I didn't want them all square. They're all different shapes and sizes, and they're just placed willy-nilly. There's a lot of work still to do, the kind of decorative stitching to secure everything and blend everything together and bring it all together as kind of cohesive piece now. But the main job of placing everything has been done. I have one last piece to place, which this little beauty here, which is going to be the last piece to go on. And the reason I haven't stitched it on yet is that there's something I'm going to add to it. So I'm going to do a little bit of that with you in a minute. But I've just taken, it's really hard to get good photos of it because the lights are poorly at the moment. I haven't got space in my house to spread it out. But I've just kind of spread it out as best I can on the biggest bit of floor I could find in the best natural light I could. It's not great natural light there. And I've taken some photos and a little short bit of video footage, which I'm going to slot in here so you can see how it's going. So yeah, have a look, zoom in if you like, see if you can spot your piece in there. Isn't it beautiful? And it will be, once I've finished doing all the couching all the sari ribbon and things in between, which will really set everything off, and little bits of stitching to blend everything together. Yeah, it'll be even better. It honestly can't help but be beautiful with the amount of love and care and work that has gone into every single one of those pieces. I'm still a little bit in mourning for the 3 pieces I know of that went astray. One from Sylvia here in the UK, and one from Pat in the US. I actually replicated as best I could both those pieces from the photos that the ladies had sent me. I have done a video about how I did that as well, which you'll find in the playlist if you're interested. So those have actually got a place on the quilt. Sadly, there was also a piece from Paula in New Zealand, and that she posted it more than 3 months ago. So I think we have to give up on it, and I'm so sad about it. Paula, your name's going to go on the quilt anyway. Paula is so much a part of the community. I can't leave her out just because the piece never got here. It's sad. There are a couple of other pieces representing New Zealand on the quilt, so that's good. And I know at least one of those pieces actually is using some fabric that I know Paula has, so it made me think of Paula while I was working on that little piece. Anyway, so today what I want to do is do a little bit of work on this last piece to go on the quilt, which is from Mand. Let me take you to the desk and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. So here we go. Here is this beautiful piece that Mand made. Absolutely gorgeous design, which she's chain stitched and added beads to. Beautiful colours, beautiful stitching. Metallic French knots here. Absolutely lovely, 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 lovely. And she ended up stitching onto this plain piece, which is cut from a vintage napkin. I think it's because she felt it wasn't big enough, or didn't have a big enough border around it. That didn't really matter, but actually it's lovely that she's done that, because I'm not going to show just yet. There's this lovely quote she sent me, this fabulous handmade. God, look at it. I have looked at this in detail when I opened it, so I won't do it again now. But how beautiful is that? A lovely little note in it in Mand's gorgeous handwriting. And she's added this quote from Maya Angelou, which I love. She also sent this quote in a little note to Bazaar. Joe at Bazaar was really touched by it. And I think it's just such beautiful words. So I thought it would be nice to include this on our quilt somewhere. So what Amanda did was she attached this piece here just at the top, but it actually lifts up. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and I have written the quote here, is embroider that quote on this piece and leave this open, not just flapping open, because if it got hung the other way up or something, it might do this and that, bit messy. What I'm going to do is add a little loop and a button so that it can be unbuttoned, and the person who's lucky enough to end up owning this quilt will think, oh, I wonder if you can unbutton that. Lovely surprise. Can't believe now looking at that, because I'm known for my dreadful writing. I just wrote that. I didn't trace it. I just literally wrote that with my heat erasable pen straight onto the fabric. Didn't draw like nothing. I can't believe I got away with it now. I mean, it's a little bit wonk, but for me that is the most incredibly neat writing. I must have been channeling Mand there, I think, and her beautiful writing. Anyway, so I'm going to embroider that onto there, stitch a little loop and a button, and then the whole of this will get stitched onto the quilt. I think I will have to slightly overlap these edges to fit it on now in the space that I've got left. There's plenty of space for that and this. Yeah. And I think one of the other lovely things about this is that when you do this, you can see the back of the work. And I've always said that ever since we've been doing the swaps that we started doing back in, I think May 2023 was the first one. The sixth one is currently going on, the Home Sweet Home swap. But right from the very start, when I started to get these beautiful pieces of work through from my swapsters, I always loved looking at the back. There was something about the back that really made me feel connected with the person that had done all of that work, that had held this piece in their hands and stitched into it. it just made me feel really connected, and it just makes you realise how much work goes into these pieces. This is actually a very tidy backside for the amount of work that's on the front, so perhaps that's fortuitous. But I think on behalf of all of the hundreds of pieces on that quilt, I feel like it'd be nice to use several of the colours. Let's use a different colour on each line. I think that's what I'll do. And then when I blast this with my hairdryer, it'll take the pen away. So this is going to be the very last square that goes on. So yeah, it's around 100 people. I think the last time I counted, it was like 99 people had sent pieces in. Several people sent more than one square as well. And as I say, there were quite a few people who also sent me little triangles and hearts and birds and wonky shapes and things, Suffolk puffs and flowers, all kinds of things. People sent in to fill the spaces. So altogether, it would be interesting to count up how many actual individual pieces have gone onto that quilt. At least a couple of hundred pieces, maybe more if you counted every single little thing. So now you could see, looking at those photos that I just showed, you can see there were some very tiny chinks of space still. Some of those will be filled with stitching, some will be filled with couched down fibres and things, some will be, I'll just cut a little snippet of fabric scrap from my bazaar bundles, my stash of bazaar scraps to fill the space, and then I will couch sari ribbon and bundles of fibres and things in between all of the pieces to set them off and secure everything down and bring everything together. So today, just a bit of quiet stitching today. I won't do all of it with you because it's going to take quite a time, but I just thought I'd do a little bit as part of this update and see how we get on. That looks like a good needle. Let's just make sure it's going to go through nicely. Yes. I might have left all my little snippy scissors downstairs. We're doing a lot of work downstairs at the moment. Okay, I'm going to start with purple and finish with purple, the colour purple. I think it's like a number 8 perle, but it's got a real sheen to it. It's very nice. What an absolute joy it has been to work on this quilt. It's partly a real privilege, but it's also a bit terrifying. I'm just going to make sure I'm zoomed in. Yes, I'm zoomed in as I can get. Yeah, it is a bit terrifying because I feel a responsibility to do justice to everybody's beautiful work. I'm going to make these quite nice small stitches. Oh, this fabric's nice to stitch on too. Got a bit of wadding behind it. I think once I've got the main, basically the top of the quilt done, and I'm ready to start the backing and tying and binding process, that's when I'll start seriously thinking about getting in touch with some people or organisations that I think might be able to help in terms of giving us a bit of publicity, or offering a place that we could exhibit the quilt perhaps. A few people have suggested that it would be a good idea to partly to give people a chance to see it if they'd like to, and also to get a bit more publicity so that when we come to auction the quilt off for charity once it's ready, hopefully that will get more people interested in bidding on the quilt and raise more money for whatever our chosen charity is. I think in terms of what charity to choose, I think I will put a short list together and then get people in the community to vote, and especially people who've actually contributed would be nice if they have a say in where the money goes in the end. We'll have to set a bottom limit as well. I wouldn't want to see it go for peanuts. I want to, we want to get as much as possible as we can for the charity. But of course there's also a huge part of me that just wants it to go to someone I know and like. It's going to be pretty hard to let this go at the end. Even my husband has commented, is pretty blown away by it all, because he's seen all the packages coming and going as well, and the amount of time that's gone into it already. And luckily, because he does some voluntary work helping to look after our local park, the warden there has said that I can use their kind of community space where they've got big tables and things. When it comes to the point of packing and tying and binding, I think it will be very useful to be able to spread out properly on large tables. So that's really handy. Yeah, so with the charities, which charities to choose, I feel that because people have contributed from all over the world, it needs to not be a UK-based charity. It needs to be not based in any one country. It's something that would benefit worldwide. Perhaps one of the charities that responds in emergencies, or perhaps a charity that funds research on various conditions. I know many people in our community have been affected personally, or seen their loved ones affected by things such as dementia and cancer, and various conditions that where people need support, or research needs to be done. Yeah, so something like that I think would be good. So that's my little back stitch. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning of the line and just use the wrong side of my needle, I think. And I'm going to work right to left and just wrap my thread around the stitches that I've already made, and that will define the line and thicken it up and make it like a smooth line rather than separate stitches. I'm using the wrong end of the needle so I don't kind of catch the fabric. Actually, that last little one's quite small. It's going to have to be the point. I have to be very careful. There we go. Yeah, so you can see that's just smoothed out that line and defined it a bit more. So yeah, there's probably no point in you sitting and watching me doing any more of that, really. I'm waffling away to myself. So I'll probably just carry on now until I've got all of this done. Yeah, if anybody has any ideas or any useful connections to any person or body that could maybe help with promoting our quilt and the auction and things, or giving us somewhere to exhibit it so that people could come and see it, please do get in touch. If you look in the description box to any of my videos, you should find my link tree. If you click on the link tree, various things will come up: the Facebook group, the Discord community. Everybody's welcome to join those, they're all free. And also my email, so you can get in touch with me there. If you've got any ideas you want to share, or in the comments. I'm very behind in answering my comments because I've just had such a hellish few weeks. Please don't let that stop you leaving them, because I do love to read them. It's just having the time to actually answer them. I used to do it every day. I love reading your comments. So I'm trying to, if people have actually asked questions, I'm trying to answer those first. But yeah, I'm a bit behind, but yeah. So if you want to get in touch with me quickly, the email's probably the best idea at the moment. Or PM me in Discord. Yeah, in terms of taking the quilt to places where people could come and have a look at it, because it doesn't matter how many photos I do, even if I can get some better lit photos, there's nothing like seeing it in person, being able to look closely at every single beautiful little piece of work. I would love lots of people to be able to see it properly. But I don't feel I can just kind of stick it in the post or whatever, or send it by courier or something. I feel like I'd need to go with it, so it's got to be somewhere in the UK, and obviously there's a limit to how far and how often I can go. I can afford to go in terms of time and money. But I just thought if we could find 2 or 3 places up and down the country, and yeah, I have had a few suggestions which I would definitely look into. But if you're watching this and you're thinking you could help, or you know someone who could help, please don't hesitate to get in touch. There we go. So I've got the word can there. I'm going to do the rest of the letters. I think I'll use, since I've got 4 colours, I'll use a different colour for each of the 4 and then come back to the purple for Maya Angelou's name. Yeah, so I'm going to do that and then dig out a button, and I need to make a little loop. The loop is going to show on the back there, but I think since it's the back of the work anyway, that's okay. Yeah, I think it's the tidiest way I can do it. I can't just sort of leave it flapping, and I need to... I just was trying to think of something that would make people think to lift it and have a look, you know. So if I made it something, just popped it on or something, I would try to make it invisible. It might be too invisible, you know. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best way. I don't want to actually make a buttonhole in this, because that would spoil. Yeah, I think that would spoil man's work. So I just thought a little loop. I might be able to disguise the stitching on of the loop within this stitching here, I wonder, as I've got some of the matching thread. Yes, I think that might be the way. So it would show on the back but not be too apparent on the front. That's probably a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and finish these words, and then I'll be back. Okay, here we are. I've finished stitching all of that. I think it looks quite cute. Feels nice as well. I found a button that I think will work. It'll look quite nice as a button for it, but I'm not going to stitch that on until I stitch this onto the quilt, because some of this will be overlapped by surrounding pieces, and it may be that the button will end up overlapping the join, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to keep this with it, but yeah, but I'm going to make the button loop, and I think I'm just going to do this with thread. So I've got quite a long piece of thread, folded it in half, and I put both the ends through the eye of the needle so that I've got this loop at the other end, which will make it easier to anchor my thread without having to have a knot or anything. So I'm just folding this to find the centre, taking a small stitch and putting my needle back through the loop to make a little knot to secure it. And I'm just thinking that if I make a loop with this double thread and then do a kind of buttonhole stitch or blanket stitch around it, that will make a loop to go over the button. That's about right, I reckon. Don't want it too big, otherwise I'll end up having to put a huge button. I reckon that is going to be plenty big enough. So all that's going to show from that side is just that little bit there, which I don't think is too bad. And now I'm going to do a nice simple buttonhole stitch working around the loop that I've made. So just making my little loop of thread, popping my needle underneath the two thicknesses of the loop, and coming up underneath it and over the top of this loop. It'll be easy once I've done a few stitches. Be a little bit awkward at the moment. So again, got the loop going back that way. I'm going underneath the loop that I've, my button loop, and coming up over the top of my working thread loop, if that makes sense. Yeah. This thread's a little bit slippery and bouncy, it keeps wanting to unravel itself, but I've just got to show it who's boss. So you can see that's just starting to create a nice little neat buttonhole loop. Maybe I could use some of the other spare threads to embroider a little word there or something to indicate. I don't know. No, I don't think I will. I think I'll just leave it as a secret to discover. Okay, so I'm going to just finish working around this loop now. Just need to take my time with this so it doesn't get all knotted and tangled. Yeah, okay, shouldn't take me too much longer. I hope I've got enough thread because I haven't got any more of this. It might have to change colour halfway through otherwise, which should be a shame. But I think that'll look quite nice. Yeah, I'll just be peeking at the bottom there. Just intriguing enough to make someone open it, I reckon. Okay, See them? Okay, I had just about enough thread left to buttonhole all the way around that loop, and then do a few more stitches just to anchor it a little bit more there. I know I've ended up putting a little blip on the front of man's square now, but I don't think it's gonna detract from it at all. So I took the ends and just threaded them back through the centre of my buttonhole stitches just to weave the ends in, keep everything all nice and secure, and I can cut that thread off really close. And I've got my little button loop, which hopefully will be just about the right size for this button. Yep, perfect. So yeah, that will get stitched onto the quilt. Probably the outside edges will be overlapped a bit, and then once it's in place I will stitch the button on, and it'll kind of look like that, so you'll see it a little bit, and hopefully it will make people think, oh, can you open that? Then they'll open it and see the message inside. So oops, hang on, lost my button. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing that little peek at how the Bonkers Quilt is doing. You can see there is a lot more work to do on it, but it's the bit in a way that I'm looking forward to the most, because it's all just the decorative stitching, lots and lots of couching fibres down between all the pieces, doing all kinds of different stitches across between the joins to kind of make sure the joins are all nice and so they look nice, and everything's securely held down as well, and it's sort of blended together and bring everything together into kind of a cohesive quilt, hopefully. It's going to be bonkers, but you know, nothing is going to stop it being the craziest crazy quilt you've ever seen. But I want it to look like I want it all to come together nicely. So there's a lot of that kind of work to do. I'm going to be weeks and weeks yet doing that, and then the next hurdle to tackle is going to be backing and tying it, and then adding the edging. So but looking forward to all of that. It's very much a labour of love. Thank you again to everyone who's contributed from all over the world. It's just what an amazing project it's been, and something we can all be really proud of, and lovely that we're going to be sending it out into the world and raising some money for a worthy cause as well. So I just think it's fantastic. Thank you also to Joe and the whole Bazaar team for hosting us at the event in the summer. I mean, that's kind of what started the whole thing, and it's lovely that we've used so many of the Bazaar scraps, but lots of other recycled fabrics have come from all over the world as well. So yeah, it's lovely when you have a little nugget of an idea and it actually works out. It's actually turning out just as I'd hoped, and I'm really grateful to everybody who's jumped on board with such enthusiasm and such creativity and talent, and put such a lot of work into all of those beautiful pieces. So thank you, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you again really soon. Bye.